I'm Larry. Last name's Millwood, Millwood. Well, I've always been a very active kid growing up. Born and raised in Georgia. I'm always open for things, played sports and stuff. Brother came to me one day. I was just out of high school, I think, but he came to me and said, hey, he met a dive instructor. You want to learn how to dive? And I said, yeah, we were living in Hawaii at the time. So I said, sure. Went and got certified.
I feel like I shrunk down there. Oh, you want to compress?
Yeah, it was definitely fun. It was something to do living in Hawaii, right? As I started to dive and venturing out, very early recognized I like to eat. A lot of lobsters in Hawaii, all kinds of fish. My diving started being centered around hunting, catching lobsters and fish. In Hawaii, we have baby luau's, the 1 year luau, and people would always come to me, hey, can you get me this and this and that, for our baby luau? So I would go out. My mom loved lobster and stuff, so I became a big hunter. That's how I first got started. So the way we teach, I've been teaching for about 38 years. The way we teach has definitely changed. It's very centered around diving. Safety has always been cornerstone of teaching and diving. We used to, never dive alone. It was being safe, but at the same time, it was about sharing your experiences and having dive buddies to share your experiences with. Now, we teach self-reliant scuba, how to be reliant on yourself, and actually you can go out and on your own, where, we had it, back in those days, don't dive alone. But so things have changed. The way we teach has changed. Scuba courses used to be very intense. It could be a month, 6 weeks to learn how to scuba dive, where now we've kind of broken those early scuba courses down into a lot of other scuba courses, the open water course, the advanced course, deep diving. That used to all kind of be tied into one. So when you came out as a diver, you were a diver. Now, learn how to dive. It's recreational diving. Learn how to dive. Nice, safe, easy environment. But if you like wreck diving, you like deep diving, you like night diving, there's so many different specialties, then you can take those courses. I never thought that I'd have a dive shop in Vegas. I came out here in '97, I had a guy, Steve Wynn. The Bellagio was being built, if you've heard of the Bellagio. A company called Cirque du Soleil. They were starting this show called first water show of its kind in the world. And they started to put together their technical department. They got their riggers and their carpenters and their automations and all those. And then they went, water show, we might need divers. And there weren't really any professional divers here in town, or so I was told. But they got a hold of me, and I was on my way to work with Disney. I had just left Midway Island, first person to ever open up a dive shop on Midway. I came out here and I interviewed, and I said, you know what? I'll come out here on a 3-year plan. I'll get the show started, get the dive team going. I'm out of here. That didn't work out the way that I thought, and I ended up staying and working at the shows as a career, and I did the shows for like 25 plus years. Third Reef, it's on our website. The story with Third Reef, Midway Island, Midway Atoll, very famous atoll historically, World War II, at the end of the Hawaiian chain. It's a little atoll out in the middle of the Pacific, and it's always been a naval base. Department of Defense has run it, and it's been a naval base. Well, everything's kind of nuclear now. They can stay out at sea for a long time. No more federal funding was going to go into Midway, but it's a very strategic location. I used to be a hard hat commercial diver contracted by the Department of Defense, U.S. Navy. They contacted me and said, hey, we got this idea to open up Midway to the public. We want to have a dive shop out there and saltwater fly fishermen and an ecotourism group. Would you like to open up a dive shop on Midway? We're going to open up Midway to the public. And I go, that's where I thought I was going to spend the rest of my life. Yeah, well, we've done thousands of students over the years with the shops that I had in Hawaii and the shops we've had here and teaching for 38 years. We've literally seen thousands of students. There are students that will come in and they'll have their, claustrophobic, anxieties and things like that. And that's why in our training we start off shallow water where you can stand up, and we introduce some very basic skills. We progress. So as those students, we take time, we've learned how to approach maybe certain challenges different ways to accomplish the objective. We take our time, and we've had students, as long as they don't quit, we're not going to quit on them. We find that almost every one of them, out of the thousands that we've done, they turn around and go, "This is the best thing that's ever happened to me." So that's always nice to see. Being able to share, it's a fantastic lifestyle. I've heard people over the years, I've heard instructors over the years, and I've had people, divers, ask instructors, "Can you make money being a scuba instructor?" And I've actually overheard conversations where the instructor says no. And that I kind of frown at that, because I've done very well. It's about anybody. If you want to become a scuba instructor, becoming a scuba instructor is not difficult. It's definitely an accomplishment to become an instructor, and a lot of instructors will say, "Yeah, I became one because I want to share my experiences and share the love of my, diving, my passion I want to share with others." And I think that's fantastic. And that's primarily, why I chose to be an instructor. Being an instructor, I think, is so much more. Just sharing your passion, and everybody has different passions. The environment is a good one. Conservation is a good one. Back when I was, like I said, when I first started, I was a big hunter. Hunt. But I've changed over the years. I've had such incredible interactions with marine life. Once you start having these interactions with marine life where they'll come up to you and give you a kiss on the cheek or say hi, it's really tough to hunt them. Yeah. Just it's an incredible lifestyle. To be able to have the means to share that lifestyle with others, I think is probably the biggest thing. Well, a lot of people think, Vegas, where do you dive in Vegas? And I get that question all the time. My answer is always, we dive all over the world. We've certified thousands of people here in Vegas, in the Valley, and I'm still yet to meet a person that I'm teaching them to dive so they can dive Lake Mead. I mean, it's great. Lake Mead is definitely unique, and there is some very good diving in Lake Mead, but a lot of people, they think of diving, the tropical warm waters and things like that. That's why when we opened up the shop, we need to be very big with our dive club, the Legends Dive Club. People can ask you, "Are you a legend?" And you say, "Well, yes, I am." But the dive club, finding other people within our dive club, there are all those different specific specialties. We have a dry suit club, we have an old man's club, we have a woman's club, we have a kids club. We set up trips, photography, we set up trips all over the world, do those types of diving. Diving will change your life. And I've had experiences that I have never had. I've had some incredible experiences, and it's all because of diving. I mean, 7/10 of the world's covered in water, right?